Hello, listeners, and welcome to Boomerang. My name is Jim, and your other readers are
Ferine,
Nan,
Ray,
and I'm doing the fourth reader. Andrew is our engineer tonight, and he'll be doing the recording, and Ray will be doing the copying and distribution. The news this week is taken, with permission of course, from the West Lothian Courier dated Thursday the 9th of May, and we are recording this on the 9th of May. Any little anecdotes have been taken from the Reader's Digest with their permission. Again, the recording, as usual, has been divided into 4 sections, and we will start the first section with some general news.
Dad hails hospital team after baby survives tumour. The dad of a brave West Lothian tot who lost his eye after doctors spotted a lethal tumour has hailed hero medics for saving him. Kyle Mackay has told how he and partner Chloe Collins' lives stopped when they were given the shattering news that their son Caleb Mackay had a cancerous tumour behind his left eye just weeks after birth. Caleb, now 2, was born alongside twin brother Carter in August 2021. But just 8 weeks later, Kyle and Chloe knew something wasn't right with Caleb's left eye drooping. The family from East Calder, West Lothian, rushed Caleb into an eye specialist in Edinburgh before he was rushed to the Royal Hospital for Children in the capital. Medics took a biopsy behind Caleb's eye and discovered a malignant rhabdoid tumour, which was growing at an alarming rate. Specialist doctors tried to blast the tumour with chemotherapy in a bid to shrink it, but despite their efforts, they were forced to take drastic action and surgically remove Caleb's left eye and everything surrounding. Tiny Caleb battled on at the hospital and was given the all clear after his treatment ended. Now his dad is hoping to give something back to the kind-hearted NHS staff known as the Play Team, who supported his family in their darkest moments. Kyle, 23, said having our twins, Caleb and Carter, in August 2021 was the most precious thing ever, but also very scary and a huge adjustment. Then, when Caleb turned 8 weeks old, everything fell apart. We noticed his left eye was drooping in comparison to his right. We just knew something wasn't right. After seeing the doctor, we were referred to the Eye Pavilion in Edinburgh. Nobody knew what was going on, so it took 3 or 4 visits before we were referred to the Royal Hospital for Children and Young People. The decision was made to take a biopsy of what was going on behind Caleb's eye. We had a dreadful 4-day wait, then the results showed it was in fact cancerous. Caleb was diagnosed with a malignant rhabdoid tumour behind his left eye socket, and it was growing rapidly. The news brought our lives to a complete stop. It absolutely broke us. As a parent, you must stay strong for your kids, but this was on a different level. There were arguments, tears, sometimes thoughts of totally giving up. The initial plan was for Caleb to have intense chemotherapy to try to shrink the tumour and then surgery to remove anything left over, but this didn't go to plan. The tumour was too aggressive and the chemotherapy wasn't working. Unfortunately, after a couple of weeks of hospital stays, the decision was made to remove Caleb's left eye and everything surrounding it. Caleb had the major operation at just 10 weeks, with a following 10 gruelling rounds of chemotherapy. Kyle has told how he and Chloe, 24, were in and out the hospital every week for 2 to 3 days at a time, with the whole ordeal taking over their lives. And he's praised the hospital play team, who went above and beyond for their family by singing Caleb's songs, playing with him, making him as comfortable as possible. Kyle said when things were extremely tough, they would come in and sit with Caleb to give us a little break. It didn't matter what time of day it was. There were times we would drive half an hour back to our home to grab some more clothes without having to worry about Caleb, as we knew he was in good hands. In general, the full RHCYP team did an exceptional job and took a massive weight off our shoulders. They helped us to have lots of happy times, despite what we were going through, and were always there for a shoulder to cry on when needed. Caleb, who also has an older brother, Caden, 5, is now the happiest little guy ever, as his family look to raise funds for the hospital's charities Play Appeal. He added, "The journey we've been on has been an incredible, challenging one, and it's far from over, but we still have our boy. He's the happiest little guy ever, and if I can take one positive out of all this, it's that it brought our family closer together and made us realise how strong we were. We want to say a massive thank you to each and every member of the hospital team for everything they did for Caleb and our whole family. And to donate, visit echcharity.org/power-off-play.
Cara can't wait to get into the ring and box for Scotland. A West Lothian teen has been selected to box for Scotland in Hungary after training for just 4 years. Cara Young, 14, from Broxburn, started boxing when she was 10 years old after developing a passion for the sport just before COVID-19. She is now set to take part in the 73rd Georgely Borna-Misa Memorial International Boxing Tournament between May the 12th and May the 18th and represent Scotland. Keith Young, Cara's dad, says he is bursting with pride over his daughter's determination and even built her a gym in the garden so she could pursue her dream. The courageous teen said her ultimate dream is to compete in the Olympics and that she will do whatever it takes to get there. Keith's partner, who was speaking on his behalf, said that they both didn't expect the situation to have moved so quickly and that she is such a dedicated young girl. She said, "Cara started boxing when she was 10 and then it all kind of built from there. Just before COVID-19, she got a real passion for it and wouldn't stop boxing in the garden. You couldn't get her away from it. She found out 3 weeks ago that she had been selected to box for Scotland, which is just so amazing. She's been told that she's going to Hungary, which is a great opportunity for her, especially since she has only been doing it for 4 years. Her dad is just so proud of her. He's honestly bursting with pride. She is such a dedicated young girl who just wants to meet her ultimate goal, which is competing in the Olympics, and continue to show people that women can do boxing. Keith honestly does anything he can for her to get where she wants to be, and even built a gym for her outside so she could keep practicing. Her coaches too have always been great. They really built her confidence and were always there for a pep talk. She has always had her cheerleaders by her side. Cara said she is so excited because she has always wanted to compete for Scotland abroad. She thanked her coaches, Andy and Ricky at Broxburn Boxing Club, for all the help they have offered her over the years. She said, "I actually did taekwondo when I was 3 and I got the red belt there. It wasn't a full contact sport, and I was always getting points deducted for hitting hard. My cousin went to the club and asked me if I wanted to go as well, and on my very first night, Andy, my coach, was really impressed and asked my dad if I could move up to the adults class. They would offer me fights, and I wasn't too scared to take them. I would take any fight. I'm so excited, and it was amazing to hear that I had made it to the Scotland team. I can't wait. Broxburn Boxing Club also took to social media to express their pride for Cara and wrote, "We are extremely proud to announce that Cara Young has been selected to box for Scotland in the prestigious 73rd Gergely Borna Memorial International Boxing Tournament in Eger, Hungary, between May the 12th and May the 18th, 2024. This is a fantastic honour for Cara, her family and the club, and it goes without saying how tremendously proud we are with Cara's international selection."
I've lost faith in NHS after son's foot horror. Mum found medical equipment in wound. A mum claims she found a piece of medical equipment stuck in her son's foot after a trip to hospital. Aggie Timmich says the experience has made her lose her trust in the NHS. The 43-year-old hit out after her 10-year-old son, Adam, spent 2 weeks in hospital after a piece of rod used to drain a wound was found under his skin. The youngster suffered a minor football injury in April when another player accidentally stepped on his right foot. After the first week, his limb swelled up to double its normal size. That sparked a series of trips between his GP and St John's Hospital in Livingston. Adam was put on antibiotics, but the swelling and pain continued. Edinburgh Live reports that, after an ultrasound at St John's, Adam was urgently sent to the Royal Hospital for Sick Children on April the 15th, where he was diagnosed with an infected blood clot. Aggie spoke of her anguish at how distressed her son became every time blood was taken or cannulas had to be inserted. She reached her breaking point when, she claims, a piece of old rod was found in the wound on April the 23rd. Aggie said, "Adam was in so much pain. Before we came to the sick kids, he was off school because he couldn't walk or even put on any shoes on his right foot. It had doubled in size. We phoned NHS 24 and went to our GP on March the 8th. On the 19th, Adam got an X-ray and we were told there were no broken bones. We put a cold compress on it and kept it elevated as instructed, but the pain and swelling didn't go. We went back to St John's where they did the ultrasound, and that's when Adam was urgently referred to the sick kids with an infected blood clot. I'd been taking photos of the wound each week too. Part of the skin on the foot was peeling and then became red, like there was an infection. When we got to the hospital on the 15th, the doctors needed to take his blood and give Adam a cannula for a drip. He was very distressed and was screaming in pain. I don't feel like the doctors understood how much pain he was in. They're not in his body, they don't know his pain. The next day he went for surgery, and on the 18th the draining rod was removed from the wound, or so we thought. However, Aggie said that night Adam became unwell with a urine infection. After a round of antibiotics, the young lad was discharged on April the 21st. They wanted to give him another drip for antibiotics for the UTI, but he was begging and screaming at me not to let them do it. I asked if we could give him tablets instead. He was so distressed, Aggie said. I eventually convinced Adam to let them give him a drip, and the doctor frightened us when he mentioned there was a risk of sepsis. But then it turned out they couldn't find the antibiotics they needed, so they gave him them in tablet form anyway. He was sent home the next day. Sadly, this wasn't the end to Adam's stay in the hospital. On the following day, Adam's fever spiked and a rash was spreading up his right leg. He was once again admitted to the hospital, and on inspection of the wound to his right foot on April the 23rd, Aggie said that a piece of the old rod inserted the week before was found. She added the tissue viability nurse came to look at the wound, even though other medics had checked on it numerous times before and found a piece of an old rod in his foot. That would have been from April the 16th when they'd drained it. Aggie said, "I've lost all my trust in the NHS. I feel like I can't do anything to help him and there's been a complete lack of care. The doctors tell me I'm there to comfort Adam, but I feel like I need to watch over them. There's been so much miscommunication during his stay. Nurses have come up and said they need to take bloods or a swab when it's already been done not long before." Aggie added, "Last week he was in hospital again and it's their fault because they left a bit of that rod in there." Adam has since had an MRI scan and surgery to rinse and drain the original wound, but he had to spend a few days in hospital as his temperature has rocketed. Aggie said that he's back on more antibiotics, but feels like she's stuck in limbo waiting for results. She added, "I'm worried this infection will spread to other lymph nodes and we will need another surgery." Dr. Tracy Gillies, Medical Director, NHS Lothian, said, "We apologise to Adam and his family for any distress they've experienced. Treating an infection isn't always a simple or immediate process and may require a range of clinical interventions depending on the circumstances. We would urge the Timich family to contact us directly to discuss their concerns or questions."
Shopping centre yobs spark hundreds of cop calls. Antisocial behaviour by teens in Livingston's shopping centres has sparked hundreds of calls to police already this year, councillors have heard. There were 217 calls relating to antisocial behaviour and 159 relating to youth complaints in 3 months from January to April. A report to the Livingston South Local Area Committee heard that police activity in the shopping centre had been front and centre of local community officers' beat work since last year. A local police sergeant said the calls were an accurate reflection of what was happening. Sergeant Lee Brodie told the meeting, "Work has continued in Livingston Town Centre throughout the quarter. This has taken the form of numerous town centre patrols by community and response policing officers. Several young people have been either arrested and brought into custody or taken home to their parents and charged for a variety of disorder or violent offences, particularly by the community policing team. Councillors first voiced concerns a year ago that teens were using free bus passes to congregate in Livingston Town Centre and cause mayhem. It triggered an active response from local community officers working within the shopping centres. Detailed figures in the police report show calls to police about antisocial behaviour across the quarter. They showed the lowest being 9 in the first week of January to highs of 29 a week in a couple of weeks, with an average of around 16 each week. All youth-related calls to police over the period were 20 a week at the high point, but average round about 11. Councillor Marie Macaulay, looking at the stats for Livingston South, is a lot of this made up with what's happening in Livingston Centre. I was at a community council meeting last night and they were saying, "Oh, it's really bad." I'm just looking for factual information. Sergeant Brodie said, "From our experience, there's no question that Livingston Town Centre makes up a lot of the antisocial and youth-related calls for the Livingston South Ward. That's one of the main reasons why the officers in the ward and myself spend a lot of time there. That's not to say that it's the only place where antisocial behaviour occurs. We certainly have been aware of reports down towards the Scotmid and Bankton. It's these kinds of hubs where you will get antisocial behaviour. Sergeant Brodie added, at the same time I did see some encouragement when I looked through some of the figures, because there's certainly some weeks where Livingston South, in spite of having the town centre, did not have the highest number of calls that particular week. It certainly looks like Bathgate, which itself has a busy town centre and a nighttime economy, obviously did take a lot of the calls as well. We are continuing to work proactively there in Livingston. Whilst the calls are higher than a number of other wards, they're not always the highest. When you consider how big the town centre is, it's actually not a huge number of calls at any given time. Councillor Macaulay asked, do you think people are more readily phoning up now and making complaints now there are issues? They're not so apprehensive, so it's encouraging to see that action is able to be taken. The sergeant replied, yes, people are keen to report. We've made a point of engaging with the two town centres, giving them advice about reporting, how to and when it's appropriate to do so. The importance of then following it up with us and being able to provide statements. So yes, we have encouraged people to report. The reports we do have give a true picture. I don't think it's either been under or over-reported. I think this is an accurate reflection of what we are seeing.
People's choice for name of new school. Winchborough's new primary school will be named Hawk Hill Primary, following a choice by local people. The name echoes its locality close to Hawk Hill Wood in Winchborough. The geographic option was favoured over historical references. A formal public consultation was undertaken last spring into the establishment, location and catchment area for a new non-denominational primary at the Winchborough site. The council asked various groups, including local school pupils, ward councillors and the wider Winchborough community, for the potential name for the new school. Among the options considered were Seaton Primary, named for Lord Seaton, who built Niddry Castle and Niddry Primary, after the castle, which is a local landmark. Other options, which did not make the final three, included Beatley Primary. That name would have associated with Beatley Road in the rapidly expanding village, but it is also currently used for another school within West Lothian. Planning permission was granted earlier this year for the new non-denominational primary school, which will have an initial capacity of 231 pupils and 42 early years places. It is being fully funded by developer contributions to cope with the increasing demand from the growing core development area of Winchborough, with a flexible design that will allow for future expansion if required. Work is expected to start later this year, with pupils attending the new school from August 2025. A formal public consultation was undertaken last spring into the establishment, location and catchment area for the non-denominational primary at the Winchborough site. Winchborough is growing by more than 4,000 new homes as part of a comprehensive development for the former village.
working together to improve quality of life as number of suicides fall in West Lothian. The number of probable suicides in West Lothian has fallen over the last 2 years. While nationally there has been a slight rise, in West Lothian the number fell to 18 during 2022, down from 30 probable suicides in 2021. Now medical and mental health professionals are working together on long and short-term plans to improve the quality of life for everyone who lives, works, learns and does business in West Lothian. Key to improving suicide prevention is to provide hope to those most at risk, as well as practical help to tackle the social and economic inequalities which fuel the risk of suicide by an individual. A report to the Council's Community Safety Board outlined, despite a small increase in probable suicides across Scotland, West Lothian saw a decrease to 18, against 30 in 2021 and 23 in 2020. To compare data, the Records Office suggests the 5-year mean mortality rate, standardised by age, to be the most reliable measure. By this measure, West Lothian's age standardised mean is slightly below Scotland's as a whole. The focus lies in tackling inequalities and helping those who may be at risk through addiction or through social and economic inequalities. The programme was officially launched late last year and reported to the first meeting this year of the Community Safety Board. It is built on a national prevention strategy set out by the Scottish Government, which states, "Our aim is for any child, young person or adult who has thoughts of taking their own life or are affected by suicide to get the help they need and feel a sense of hope." In the short term, an improvement plan looks to provide better training to help both professionals in medicine and mental health, as well as guidance for third sector volunteers offering mental health support in communities. Part of the short-term plan will also work with and support those who have been affected or bereaved by suicide. The work involves council staff, NHS, national agencies and third sector groups. In a report to the board, Diane Stewart from the West Lothian Health and Social Care Partnership said their plan was to deliver a longer 3-year plan for suicide prevention. She added, "To successfully deliver on this, we need to consult and engage with partners across the community, planning partnership and with our communities. Over the next year, we will undertake consultation and engagement to achieve this, taking a whole system approach to our engagement work in tackling suicide, considering the key risk factors that contribute to inequalities in West Lothian, such as poverty, substance use, homelessness and trauma. We will ensure our engagement and consultation considers those with lived and living experience, that colleagues across different sectors inform this engagement." Chairing the board, council leader Lawrence Fitzpatrick said, "This is a very, very challenging, difficult area of work for officers." Councillor Kirstine Sullivan, "It's critical and sensitive area of work. It's clear there's a lot of work going on with community partners and also in the third sector who support those who have experience of this with their own families and friendship groups."
Green light for luxury flat plan. A development of 18 luxury apartments has been granted planning approval in Linlithgow. Located on Edinburgh Road, the 18 two-bedroom properties will be marketed by the Glasgow-based developer CCG Homes and will form part of a brand new mixed-use development that will also include a 60-bedroom private care home led by Morrison Community Care Group and CCG Homes' parent company, CCG Scotland. The site is located east from the busy town centre and is under half a mile from Linlithgow train station. The homes will be offered with a luxury specification as standard and will also have advanced low-carbon energy performance credentials thanks to the use of zero-emissions heating systems. Callum Murray, CCG Homes Managing Director, said, "Linlithgow is a charming town that is conveniently located between Glasgow and Edinburgh, and I'm delighted that we will be bringing our market-leading offering to the local property market with Edinburgh Road."
Lola fancy free as she lands Footloose role. A West Lothian raised actress is set to star in an exciting new production of the hit musical Footloose. Laura Aluko was raised in Livingston and is set to star in the forthcoming Pitlochry Festival Theatre a new Wolsey musical production of Footloose, based on the hit film starring Kevin Bacon, which this year celebrated its 40th anniversary. Originally from Nigeria, then raised in Burnley and then later Livingston, Lola Aluko will be playing Lulu in Footloose and will also be appearing in Beautiful and Sense and Sensibility. Footloose first burst into life in the 1984 film starring Kevin Bacon and was one of the year's most successful motion pictures. The film's soundtrack reached number 1 in the US Billboard charts and went on to sell over 17 million copies worldwide, generating hits including its title song and Let's Hear It for the Boys, both of which received Academy Awards nominations, plus Almost Paradise, Holding Out for a Hero by Bonnie Tyler, and I'm Free, Heaven Helps the Man. This will be the first time the musical has been produced by a professional theatre company. Footloose runs in Pitlochry Festival Theatre from the 31st of May to the 26th of September. And that brings us to the end of part 1, and we'll be back with part 2 very shortly. Welcome back to part 2 of our recording this evening, and there is only one funeral intimation, which I'll give you just now. Elizabeth Kerr, Livingston, peacefully and gracefully at Woodlands Nursing Home, Livingston, on the 24th of April 2024. Elizabeth, aged 103, beloved wife of the late William Horn Kerr, a much-loved mum, granny and great-granny, who will be sadly missed. 103. Big, long life. So we'll move on back to some more news.
£100,000 of damage as cars torched in garage fire. Police are hunting firebugs who torched 7 cars at a West Lothian garage, causing £100,000 of damage. Fire crews and police raced to Braidwood Motor Company at Drumshoreland Road in Pumferson on Saturday at around 11:55 p.m. as the blaze took hold in the yard outside the garage. Crews extinguished the flames and thankfully nobody was injured. Detectives are treating the fire as deliberate and appealing for the public's help to catch the culprits. They want anyone who thinks they have dashcam or private CCTV footage to come forward. Detective Constable Lynn Miles, Livingston Police Station, said this incident resulted in the damage of vehicles worth around £100,000 and it's vital we trace those responsible. I'd urge anyone with information about what happened come forward. Perhaps you were in the Drumshoreland Road area at the time and saw something suspicious. Do you have private CCTV or dashcam footage which may have captured something of significance? Anyone who thinks they have information which could assist with our inquiries is asked to please get in touch. Anyone with information should contact 101, quoting the reference 4497 of the 4th of May this year. Alternatively, you can call Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111. And there is a photograph of the 7 vehicles targeted and they're just absolutely, totally destroyed.
Outlet teams up for healthy hearts. Livingston Designer Outlet has announced a partnership with the British Heart Foundation. The collaboration aims to support vital research and initiatives to improve the lives of those affected by heart conditions across Scotland. At the heart of this partnership lies a personal connection. Retail manager James Julian is the proud grandson of Desmond Julian, a distinguished British cardiologist and former medical director at the British Heart Foundation. Desmond Julian's pioneering work in establishing coronary care units has left an indelible mark on the field of cardiology, and his legacy continues to inspire the mission of the BHF. Residents of Livingston and the surrounding areas are encouraged to join hands in fundraising efforts to support the BHF's impactful work. By participating in the initiatives and events to be organised by Livingston Designer Outlet, individuals can contribute towards research, awareness campaigns and support services for those affected by heart and circulatory diseases. Growing up hearing stories of my grandfather's groundbreaking work in cardiology has instilled in me a deep appreciation for the importance of heart health, said Julian. Therefore, partnering with British Heart Foundation through Livingston Designer Outlet is extra special to me. We hope the partnership has a tangible impact on the lives of those affected by heart conditions. Together, we're not just raising funds, we're igniting hope and fostering healthier tomorrows. David McColgan, head of BHF Scotland, expressed his gratitude for the partnership, saying, "We are delighted that Livingston Designer Outlet is supporting the BHF in 2024. Our research helps the 700,000 people in Scotland living with heart diseases, but is only made possible because of the generosity of the public and partners like Livingston Designer Outlet."
Garden group fight back after vandal attack. Team determined to keep working. Defiant members of a West Lothian gardening group say they won't let mindless vandals stop them helping their community. The Growing Together garden in Craigshill in Livingston was left significantly damaged recently after thugs broke in to rip up plants and throw equipment and tools around. The garden was targeted twice over the last weekend in March, with significant damage to the plants in the polytunnel alongside other damage across the site. But the dedicated volunteers who run the garden say they will not let this get them down and will continue to supply plants and produce for local families. David Tatton, Community Environment Champion for Growing Together, said, "Our team has been very busy and thankfully the place is back to some sense of order and we're busy resowing and replanting. The Craigshill Community Garden is an important space for the people of Craigshill a mixed growing and activity space where people can gather safely for fun days, activities, events and gardening. The space was designed and built with the support of West Lothian YAP and the young people they support, whilst the garden space has been lovingly tended by the Growing Together community gardeners and the volunteers who give up their time. The plant and produce grown at the garden are shared within the community and used for various reasons. They supply other community gardens, give plants and seed to local residents, support local schools and the community fridge, which provides help for families experiencing food insecurity. David added, "We've engaged with Police Scotland and will seek to press charges against those involved. If you have any information, please share with us or Police Scotland. We will not let this get us down. Disappointing as it is, Growing Together and our wonderful volunteers will continue with the good work." Police Scotland were approached for a comment.
Fantastic new facility opens. The West Lothian Riviera was unveiled last week as 500 people, including 250 pupils from 4 local schools, turned out to mark the opening of the new Winchborough Marina. The new marina, on the Union Canal and located in Winchborough's emerging new town centre, was opened as a flotilla of canal boats, e-boats, canoes and paddleboards entered to the backdrop of bagpipes. The opening of the new facility, overlooked by apartments, marks the latest milestone in the growth of Winchborough and lies adjacent to an emerging town centre that is already home to a Sainsbury hub store. Further housing will flank the facility with plans for leisure units earmarked for restaurants, cafes and facilities for Scottish Canals. Winchborough Development Limited worked with Scottish Canals to develop the facility, which can accommodate up to 20 narrowboats for tourists and residential berths, with plans for a further 29 moorings along the canal. And the new addition to Scotland's fastest growing town was met with delight from locals. Mandy Baird, a local resident, said, "I was seriously sceptical 20 years ago about such an ambitious project as this becoming a reality, but I'm happy to eat my words. It's fantastic and something the community as well as visitors to the area can enjoy. I have been on Winchborough Community Council for many years now, and when John Hamilton of Winchborough Developments came along in 2004 to discuss and show the community the future plans for their village, he said they were going to put on a marina, and I remember saying, "A marina? If you build a marina, I will jump in naked." Well, 20 years on, and we have our marina. And I don't know if she did. Fellow local residents Graham Campbell, who serves as chair on Winchborough Community Council, added, "This is the latest piece in the puzzle towards carefully creating a town with character and personality, with features that enable a great quality of life. Winchborough is so well placed in terms of links to roads, cycleways and the Union Canal, and the new marina is a great addition to all the amazing developments taking place here." John Hamilton, CEO of Winchborough Developments Limited, said, "This marks a major milestone in the sustainability and sensitive development of Winchborough, and it gives me great pleasure to hand over the completed marina to Scottish Canals. It will, I am sure, prove to be not only a major asset to people here, but as we hope, a significant draw to those considering moving to be a part of this exciting community."
Glowing report for St Nicholas. Hard-working students and staff from a West Lothian primary school received high praise after a visit from education inspectors. Education Scotland inspectors spent time at St Nicholas Primary School and Nursery in Broxburn in March, and during their visit they talked to parents, carers and children and worked closely with the head teacher and staff. Inspectors found children who are welcoming, respectful and eager to learn. They demonstrate the values of St Nicholas Roman Catholic Primary School and Nursery and are proud members of their faith community. During their visit, they found very positive relationships between children and between children and adults, which is a key strength across the whole school community. These approaches to supportive relationships and positive behaviour are understood by all. This ensures children are engaged and motivated in learning. Inspectors highlighted very effective use of data across the school and nursery by senior leaders and staff. As a result, children make very good progress in learning and maintain consistently high levels of attainment. They also noted senior leaders' very effective management of change. This has had a positive impact on approaches to learning, teaching, and assessment across the school and nursery. As a result, children benefit from stimulating experiences and nurturing relationships. Head teacher Siobhan Kellogg said, "We are delighted with the findings of Education Scotland's report. It reflects our shared approach of a caring and supportive ethos and culture combined with a clear focus on raising attainment and achievement for all of our learners. I am so grateful for my whole team of teachers, practitioners, support staff and partners within our school community."
Teas up at School Cafe. Pupils from Linlithgow Primary School have launched a community cafe with support from Cala Homes East to help raise funds for a local school uniform and equipment bank. The LPS Blether Cafe, which is run by a group of Primary 7 pupils, aims to bring families of pupils from the school together with members of the local community to generate much-needed cash for the school bank West Lothian. The service aims to support families facing financial hardship by providing children with brand new uniforms and equipment required for the school day. The cafe welcomed its first guests on Thursday, April 25th, including Susan Wynne, sales consultant from Cala Homes East, who turned out to enjoy a drink and a sweet treat to help raise funds for the cause. It's hoped the project will run on the last Thursday of every month, with the next cafe set to take place on June the 6th in school PE Hall. Chantal Matos, acting deputy head teacher at Linlithgow Primary School, said, "We are so proud of our Primary 7 pupils and our pupil equity group who have worked hard to bring this great initiative to life. We're also very grateful to Cala, who have played a huge role in supporting the project. Their mug donation has supported our social enterprise group immensely. We started with zero capital, so the mugs were one less expense that we had to get covered. They also have the school logo on them, which just makes it feel that little bit more professional. We hope the cafe will help bring Linlithgow primary families together alongside members of the local community, all while raising funds for a great cause. Our goal is to generate enough profit to cover the cafe's running costs and give back to West Lothian School's clothing bank, which supports many of our families here at the school. This is Cala Homes East's latest collaboration with Linlithgow Primary, with the local house builder also providing support of the school's Halloween Spooky Trail and delivering valuable career progression lessons and safety sessions in classrooms. Launched in October 2023, the Preston Glade Community Pledge goes above and beyond planning obligations to provide additional support to groups and organisations across Linlithgow in a meaningful and measurable way. Kim Newbigging, Regional Sales Manager at Callahomes East, said, "The LPS Blether Cafe is a fantastic initiative that we're really proud to have helped get it off the ground. This is just the latest project that we have supported Linlithgow Primary with through our Preston Glade Community Pledge. Just recently, members of our team met pupils to deliver our Land to Life programme, which helps bring the house building industry to life for children. They also delivered Stay Safe, Stay Away sessions, which aims to educate children about the dangers of playing on building sites. What's more, we were delighted to support the families of youngsters at the school by sponsoring their annual Linlithgow Spooky Trail for the last 2 years, which raised an incredible £2,318.73 for the school community in 2023.
Fall in pupil violence in our schools. Fewer incidents in the last year. The number of pupils being violent towards each other in West Lothian schools has fallen in the last year. Most of the reported incidents took place in primary schools. Specialist training for teachers has helped reduce the numbers of in-school fights, but senior pupils are also involved in calming down potentially violent incidents. The Council's Audit Committee heard that officers had carried out a review of the risks from pupil-on-pupil violence in West Lothian schools and judged the controls in place to be effective, given the numbers. There's a comprehensive list of controls in place, said Kenneth Ribbons, the Council's Audit, Risk and Counter-Fraud Manager. Figures revealed at the meeting show that there were 211 recorded incidents in the 2022-23 year and 153 in the current year to March the 26th, across 68 primary schools, 13 high schools, 6 additional support need ASN schools, and 66 early learning and childcare establishments. There are more than 27,000 school-aged children and more than 4,000 preschool children in the county. The policy defines pupil-on-pupil violence as a deliberate or malicious act of violence by a pupil on another pupil with intent to cause harm and which results in some form of harm, including serious injury or death. A breakdown showed more than half the recorded incidents took place in primary schools, with 108 recorded in 2022-23 and 90 in 2023-24. In high schools, the number fell from 83 to 50, and in ASN schools from 20 to 13. The committee heard that a policy promoting positive relationships is in place, incorporating an anti-bullying framework and whole school and targeted strategies to encourage positive relationships and behaviour. It includes sections on the management of violence and aggression and the management of incidents which involve weapons. Teachers are given annual training on de-escalation techniques and positive approaches to behaviour. Staff across all secondary schools have received training under the Mentors in Violence programme, MVP. MVP also provides senior pupils with the opportunity to receive training on identification and challenge of gender-based violence in a safe way and deliver MVP lessons and support to peers and younger pupils. A recent report on MVP published on the Education Scotland National Improvement Hub confirmed that MVP impacts go beyond the scope of gender-based violence, with MVP lessons resulting in increased pupil communication when reporting fights brewing, other pupils carrying sharp objects in school, self-harming pupils, as well as pupils feeling able to intervene when they're witness to violent or bullying behaviour. Councillor Linda Kenner said, "It's heartening to see the drop in figures of incidents." Chairing the meeting, Councillor Angela Doran-Timpson said, "The figures are still quite high for primary at 90. It's going in the right direction, but how do we reduce it further?" Greg Welsh, the head of primary and early years education, said that, putting the figures into context, with more than 15,000 pupils in primary schools, it worked out as 1.6 incidents per school per year. He added, "We do tend to find that a number of incidents are concentrated potentially in the one school due to a specific set of needs, either around an individual or a cohort, and our support teams work the school and try to de-escalate and support them. So it's something they do monitor on a regular basis."
Fears for the future of all local councils. West Lothian Council's finance chief has warned of a growing risk to the financial sustainability of all Scottish councils. Increased funding from the Scottish Government has seen more money ring-fenced and is a cut in real terms across the board for all local authorities. West Lothian, along with all others, lost out on expected receipts from planned council tax rises after the freeze was imposed. While they have received more cash, Scotland's finance directors are facing a collective £725 million budget gap because of increasing demands. Despite these pressures, no Scots council has declared itself bankrupt, as many in England have. However, the pressures which have led to these bankruptcies are as acute for Scottish councils, including West Lothian. Surging social care costs and spiralling numbers of homeless applicants needing to be housed. Increased spending in both these areas has risen by around 30% in the last 10 years. The spending on looked after children has also risen by more than 10% in the last decade. Chairing a meeting of the Council's Audit Committee, Conservative Councillor Angela Dorn-Thompson asked, "Is there a real risk to the financial sustainability of Scottish councils in the medium or the long term?" Finance Director Patrick Welsh, who delivered his report in Financial Risks, responded, "We've seen the situation down in England in terms of a number of local authorities entering into bankruptcy. This report does set out really significant challenges, and as we know the position is continuing to remain extremely challenging, funding levels, economic indicators, public spending indicators going forward are all suggesting real-term reductions to local government funding on an ongoing basis." And that takes us to the end of part 2. Welcome back. I hope you had a cup of tea in between times. And part 3 will be our usual quiz, the layout of which is now 10 pub quiz questions. So here we go. What name is given to the 7 brightest stars of Ursa Major? The shovel, the plough, or the harvester? Question 2. Which city in South Yorkshire is famous for its steel? Sheffield, Leeds, or Leicester? 3. What name was given to the coalition of Germany, Italy, and Japan in World War II? Was it the New Alliance, Allied Bloc, or Axis powers? Question 4. Which Wiltshire town developed around the workshops of the Great Western Railway? Swindon, Trowbridge or Warminster? Question 5. Which former England cricket captain played for Somerset, Worcestershire, Queensland and Durham? Was it Graham Gooch, Ian Botham or Mike Gatting? Question 6. What name is given to a slip of the tongue in which the first letters of words are transposed? Knifeism, spoonerism or forkism? Question 7. What name is given to the scientific study of plants? Botany, ecology or microbiology? Question 8. Which Scottish city is at the head of the Murray Firth? Inverness, Fort William or Perth? Question 9. What was the last battle of the Wars of the Roses? A. The Second Battle of St Albans, the Battle of Barnet, or the Battle of Bosworth Field? And your last question is, what name is given to any animal without a backbone? Is it invertebrate, chordate, or mollusk? We'll give you a wee chance. That's the end of part 3, and we'll start part 4 with the answer to the quiz. Welcome back to part 4, and the answers to the pub quiz are as follows. Question 1. The 7 brightest stars of Ursa Major is the Plough. The city in your South Yorkshire for steel is Sheffield. 3. The coalition of Germany, Italy and Japan was the Axis powers. The Wiltshire town developed around the workshops of the Great Western Railway was Swindon. The former England cricket captain was Ian Botham. The name given to a slip of the tongue is spoonerism. Number 7. What name is given to the scientific study of plants? Botany. The Scottish city is at the head of the Murray Firth, Inverness. And the last battle of the Wars of the Roses was the Battle of Bosworth Field. And the last one, the name given to any animal without a backbone is an invertebrate. Now, all the team here reckon they got all the questions right. I'm not too sure. But anyway, we'll go back and have one more round of news.
2-year plan to fix roofs, set to run up a bill of at least $3 million. Final cost could go higher as debate on who pays sharply divides political opinion. Work is expected to start in August on a multi-million-pound refurbishment programme of council homes discovered to have crumbling concrete roof panels in West Lothian. The programme will focus on 69 individual properties and 15 blocks of flats in Broxburn, Bathgate, Linlithgow and Craigshill and Livingston. A meeting of the Housing Services Policy Development and Scrutiny Panel held. The work will take almost 2 years. Answering a question from Livingston North Conservative Councillor Alison Adamson, Marjorie Mackey, the Housing Strategy and Development Manager, confirmed the flatted blocks were a range of types but made up another 73 homes. The refurbishment costs of $3 million will come out of council capital funding and are expected to take until December of next year. A report to the committee said the council remains committed to providing ongoing support and information to private homeowners carrying out their own remediation process. The council's approach to supporting these residents aligns with current government policy and legislation, and whilst the maintenance and repair of private properties remains the sole responsibility of the respective owners, the Council will continue to provide advice and support to homeowners. Homeowners in affected properties have been notified by letter, and the communication included links to the Council website with information on RAAC and contact information to make inquiries. Homeowners are recommended to seek independent legal or financial advice as they navigate the RAAC remediation process. The Council will update its website to ensure these residents are signposted to relevant organisations and departments to assist them. In a letter to the Council, Housing Minister Paul McLennan maintained that funding to remediate RAAC issues remained the responsibility of the Westminster Government. He added, "I would be delighted to meet with Council leaders to understand the next steps and discuss the options available to the Council." In response to that, Councillor Adamson said, "I would suggest we make it a priority that we should invite the Scottish Minister to come to West Lothian Council and talk to us." After the meeting, Councillor Adamson said, "I think we as a council should call out Mr McLennan. He should be using money allocated for housing in Scotland, not slashing £3 million from the housing budget." Chairing the committee, Councillor George Paul asked if the £3 million bill could go higher. Mrs Mackey said the costs were indicative at present. The report to the committee added, "Developments around RAAC in housing at a national level are ongoing, and at this point the Scottish Government have not confirmed any additional funding to meet RAAC costs incurred by local authorities, registered social landlords or private homeowners." Council officers will continue to liaise with Scottish Government and the Scottish Housing Regulator on RAAC in housing and provide regular updates on the Council's RAAC situation in general.
Significant strain over lack of staff. West Lothian's environmental health team faces a significant strain on its ability to deliver services, it has been warned. National shortages of qualified staff mean vacancies are hard to fill, and the 29-strong team could lose even more in the next few years. As many as 10 staffers could leave in the next decade through retirement, and with only one university in the country which offers the 4-year degree necessary to work in environmental health, finding replacements is challenging. Craig Smith, the service manager, told a meeting of the Council's Performance Committee, "None of us are getting any younger. We are struggling in terms of demographics. There is a concern that the shortage of staff throughout the country will get worse in the near future due to the number of departures due to age, so we have to try and address this. The biggest challenge that we face are demands for skills. We currently have vacancies in the service which are challenging to fill due to national shortages of qualified staff for environmental health and trading standards. This is placing a significant strain on our ability to deliver." SNP councillor Maria Macaulay asks, "Are we at any point going to be at a loss of staff?" Mr Smith said, "Projections are age-based. We recognise we could lose another 10 staff over the next 10 years. Nationally, there are 100 vacancies in environmental health, and we reckon that could increase to 250 in the next few years. That's out of a national staff of 850. Following the 4-year degree course, training is completed with a year's on-the-job experience. In trading standards, there are other routes of entry, and so staff shortages in that area are not so acute. The team dealt with almost 6,000 cases last year, Mr. Smith said. On average, we'll carry out 1,900 inspections and interventions and respond to around 5,900 requests every year. The service has enforcement responsibility in environmental health and trading standards for 4,800 commercial premises in West Lothian. Pest control requests make up 1,500 to 2,000 requests from the public in any given year, but the team remit covers a broad spectrum which includes trading standards and keeping the public and businesses in the county safe. The work covers safety and composition, workplace safety, pollution control, including air quality and noise issues, housing conditions, animal health, welfare and control, pest control, consumer protection, and compliance with fair trading legislation. Mr. Smith told the meeting, "One of the key things for us is that we have been able to maintain high standards of performance, good levels of customer satisfaction, and low levels of complaint in terms of service delivery. Surveys showed customer satisfaction levels at 92%, with only 9 complaints in the last year." Mr. Smith added, "One of the biggest areas of achievement we identified was during the pandemic. We did everything in our power to continue to deliver the service as normal in terms of public health protection, but we also took on an enforcement responsibility for a number of the COVID regulations and requirements brought in by the government. It was a significant piece of work as officers had to adapt to the changing guidelines and legal requirement to help the public understand and apply those." Chairing the meeting, the Deputy Provost Councillor, Peter Heggie, congratulated Mr. Smith for the positive report and the work carried out by the service in challenging times.
MP petitions to include Maclagan. Martin Day, SNP MP for Linlithgow and East Falkirk, has presented a public petition on behalf of his constituents urging the UK government to include one of his predecessors in a news display that is located in the Admissions Order Office corridor at Westminster. As well as being Scotland's first ethnic minority MP, Peter Maclagan was also the longest-serving MP in Scotland during Queen Victoria's reign, serving from 1865 to 1893. Martin wants the politician featured in the new display, which is called The Pioneers, the first Asian and black MPs. Since first being brought to his attention in August 2022 by local historian David William Main, Mr. Day has worked alongside Mr. Main in gaining recognition for Peter Maclagan MP, helping to secure Mr. Maclagan's inclusion in last year's Oxford Dictionary of National Biography, and tabling 2 early day motions in Parliament. Mr. Day's petition notes regret that Scotland's first mixed-race MP is not included in the Pioneers display, and urges that the omission be rectified at the earliest opportunity. Martin Day said, "I would like to pay tribute to local historian David Main, who alerted me to Peter Maclagan's legacy, and who has done tremendous work on keeping his memory alive. Mr. Maclagan held progressive views on matters of the day, such as animal rights, universal free education, and women's suffrage. He also advocated for the establishment of a government department dedicated to agricultural issues and supported a bill to better prevent river pollution. I greatly appreciate the contemporary relevance of his ambitions and have been trying for some time to rectify his exclusion from Westminster's history of black, Asian and ethnic minority parliamentarians.
4,000 Aldi dinners are given away. Aldi donated over 4,000 meals to good causes in West Lothian during the Easter school holidays. The supermarket, paired with 27 local charities, community groups and food banks to collect unsold, fresh and chilled food all year round, with 27 causes in West Lothian benefiting from the initiative. The food donations are part of Aldi's successful partnership with Neighbourly, a community giving platform that links business to charitable organisations. Liz Fox, National Sustainability Director at Aldi UK, said, "We know that the school holidays can be a particularly challenging time for families, and food banks regularly see heightened demand. By working with such amazing charities in West Lothian, through our partnership Neighbourly, we are able to give back by providing donations to those who need it most." Steve Butterworth, CEO of Neighbourly, said, "The ongoing cost of living crisis has increased the demand for food banks, particularly during the school holidays. Aldi's contributions serve as a lifeline for many, providing essential support to enable these causes to continue their vital work within local communities. Since the partnership began in 2019, Aldi has donated more than 44 million meals to good causes across the UK. And that brings us to the end of part 4, but in our recording sessions, we started to include, where possible, a composition written and read by one of our team, Ray. So, before we wind up our recording session, perhaps Ray would again read out one of his compositions. Over to you, Ray.
Last year, I had the opportunity to visit William Wordsworth Cottage in Grasmere in the Lake District, Dove Cottage, and this poem was written as a tribute to Wordsworth. It's called Lines Written on a Visit to Dove Cottage. I entered boldly through the door, anticipating all the thrills. When I looked down upon the floor, I thought I saw some daffodils. Not by the lake or 'neath the trees, but oh, they all my senses please. I felt the presence in the room of spirits that had once been here. I caught a waft of old perfume, and thought I heard a footstep near. What lines were written in that chair, those which are beyond compare. The joy that was his sister's voice remains here still. She shared his views, for in their love he did rejoice, and from her words he took his muse. To be together was their dream, the cottage was their common theme. All this I think of when I lie upon my couch, and then I smile, because I see with inward eye, and nothing can that sight defile. Yet still my heart with pleasure fills, because I saw those daffodils.
Thank you very much, Ray. So we've now come definitely to the end of this week's recording. We hope you have enjoyed it. And can I remind you to place the USB stick in the wallet, reverse the label so that the cutout corner is at the top right-hand side, and post it back to us as soon as possible. So, it's goodbye from the members of the team.
Therine,
Nan,
Ray,
and from Jim, and from Andrew, our engineer, and Ray, our distributor. Good night.